Hey guys, Jakob here, and welcome to the second podcast, Automated Seller Podcast. Today, again, Phil is with me.
Hi, Jacob.
Yeah, Phil, it's good to have you here, and I think we can continue with our series. We'll definitely have a lot of episodes together as we are working on our partnership, also on one product that we will talk about a little bit. I think even today. But yeah, today we want to talk about challenges of vendors, software automation, and all of the related topics to this. So I would say that the general challenge that vendors are facing, and not only vendors, but of course sellers as well, is that they have a lot of manual processes where they have to just go on the Amazon and interact with it by just clicking the mouse, filling the form, and so on and so on. So, Phil, what can you say about that?
Yeah, like first of all, I wonder how I end up in automated seller podcast talking about vendors, but I'm just kidding. I'm making fun of you because automation is like the issue that we all are facing, and this is what you said correctly. Like what sellers are facing as challenges where they have to type manually. Also, vendors face. It's just different UIs, like it's a bit different where you have to put the stuff in manually, but in general you could say that there are two parts of automation on Amazon, and I think this also applies for sellers. There's the kind of automation that is supported and wanted by Amazon. Those are usually the processes where Amazon is benefiting of automation. And then there is the second part where Amazon does not allow or support automation. And this is usually in areas of processes where Amazon is not benefiting. And I want to go through both of these points today, real quick, to give you and your listeners an idea
Hmm.
of what vendors are facing and at which point there are overlays, maybe.
No, this will be great. So you said that Amazon is offering some kind of automation for vendors. I'm really curious. What does it mean?
Yeah, that means that Amazon provides interfaces where you can interact with their ordering system or their vendor management system in general. And
Hmm.
this is part of the order to cash process. Like the whole process from ordering products with you and your vendor company until the billing process, and there are different steps in there. That's first one is of course ordering. Then it's about confirmation of shipments. So there are some kind of advanced shipping notifications which can be automatically sent to Amazon. And then there's also updates regarding billing. You can send your invoices to Amazon in a digital way. By the way, this interface and transaction protocol is the EDI protocol. Um, this is electronic data interface, I think. I rarely spell it in the whole name, but this is basically a protocol which enables companies to communicate in a digital way when it comes to order to cash process. So
Yes,
we've covered.
regarding the EDI, I just want to say that we also know about it. It exists, and I think it's one of the oldest protocols which exists on Amazon. It's very old. I know that the software around EDI automations as well is super old. Usually, it doesn't even run on a MacBook. It's this
Yeah,
old Windows software, and you run your Windows machine, and you have to install the app with the key, and you just yeah, go for it. I've checked with some clients in the past. They asked me about some EDI automations, and I know that it's been a trouble. But yeah, just wanted to talk about it in short.
Yeah, I think that some sellers also might face the EDI protocol at some point in their procurement process. Like if they work with vendors themselves, some of them might still use this protocol, and therefore some of them might face this. And there's also a very clear sign from Amazon's side that they are trying to get rid of it as at some point, because until last year, you were able to get the sales figures from Amazon through the EDI protocol, and they stopped doing this. This has been migrated to the API in the middle of last year. And one more message that you could get, you call it message types, is like when you get returns and inventories you can provide to Amazon. This one, I have to say, is a smart one, providing inventories. So Amazon knows when they can order or not, because this is still one of the issues that some vendors face, is the inventory management, and then giving feedback to Amazon if the product
Hmm.
is in stock or not. So
Hmm.
this is mostly the part where Amazon allows and wants automation.
Yes,
And
that's. Mhm.
this changes a lot when you then move on to the parts where Amazon is not benefiting anymore. And this starts, or well, it would be benefiting, and this starts with the product management. Like every
Mhm.
seller knows, it's a pain in the butt to list products. Like you have this huge Excel file, and then you put in all of your products and upload it. And this is still something that is hardly automated, but uh, we have to say there's a recent development of Amazon opening up the API in order to do this. And for sellers, this is a reality for a longer time. And some vendors also can do this, but to be honest, I haven't figured out which vendors are allowed to and which not. Jacob, we've been running tests on this in order to update product listings. But in general, you have to say for vendors, it's not that easy to
Mhm.
manage their content on Amazon like sellers can do. This
I
has to do with the writing rules.
I can say, yeah. I mean, even for sellers, when we were playing around with the API initially, when it comes to like updating the inventory, I mean, I'm not even talking about putting the fresh inventory just from scratch. I know this was even a big pain. There's like a specific format that you really need to follow. But I remember even when I wanted to create like a simple function to reprise the item, it was, I don't know, around 1.5 years ago. It was really a pain. Like documentation didn't tell you at all how to do it straight away. I really had to like dig in. I think that I couldn't even find an answer on like there's like this program forum from programmers called Stack Overflow. When usually when you just Google your problem, you get the answer right away, and I couldn't get the answer at all. So yeah, I know that it's tough, but hopefully, yeah, Amazon will fix that. So just a question here regarding this vendors, because this I'm not actually quite sure, maybe you know more. So I know that, yeah, through the ADI, as you mentioned, you were able to do all kind of things when you add the vendor, so like add the products, update them, and so on. But is it the case that right now Amazon is kind of putting away EDI because it's investing more into the API, like it's migrating there, so you can do much more stuff through the API?
Yeah, I wish it was like that. But actually, this is nothing we could see as a development. The only thing um, that they have stopped providing is the sales figures through EDI. I think they still prefer working with EDI when it comes to orders and order response and advanced shipping notifications and invoices, because this is industry standard. And it took many companies many years to take on that standard and make use of it. So I don't think they will move too fast
Hmm.
into the API region. But I think what they might do is start increasing the availability of API interfaces to vendors. At least I'm hoping, because this would
Mm-hmm.
help us automate more stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And but right now it's still a struggle, and like
Mm-hmm.
even the content thing, it's not working properly for all of the vendors, and it's still a highly manual process. And as I said before, this takes a lot of effort and man hours to update content.
Exactly. So I wanted to, I mean, you just started talking about it, but I want to ask, so expect the content. What are the other, like, really pain points that vendor have to face? So deal with the manual processes. So the
Yeah,
first one is content, right?
yeah,
What
one is
exactly is there?
definitely content. Yeah, and content has different parts. Like think of videos, think of images, and those also they have to be added manually. Also prices, they need to be updated manually. Although there's an option to do this through EDI, but let's have a look at all of the things, promotions, like all of the promotions that you want to run, like couponing and deals. You have to do this manually. Like there is no option to do this in an automated way. There has to be someone doing this by hand. This is
Mm-hmm.
one part. And then let's talk about advertising, like
Yeah, just one
advertising.
second.
Yeah.
When we are in the content, because just to show some numbers for the average viewer that is watching us, it's most likely not vendor. I really hope there are more vendors watching us, but probably it's a seller. Like there are definitely just much more sellers out there. I just wonder because I mean, yeah, it sounds really tough when you have to do something, but as a seller, for example, usually you have to deal with couple of products, right? I mean, definitely there are seven-figure sellers selling thousands of different items, and therefore, obviously, this would be a very painful thing to do it manually. But I just wanted to ask you about the vendors. If you have vendor, what's the average amount of products that you have to manage, that you have to put there? So this process actually is really a pain.
Well, this really depends on the type of product and the category. And we are managing vendor accounts ranging from 50 items up to 10,000
Hmm.
SKUs. Like
Yeah.
we are managing accounts that have more than 10,000 ASINs in their catalog. And now imagine you have to
Yeah.
manage this manually. Like, oof.
Oh yeah, it's pain, definitely.
It's tough, and I mean that's why we're talking. Like these are the types of vendors where we are work together. We are working together where we are working on automation solutions, because you simply can't do this.
Yeah.
And if you are starting to automate certain processes that others did not automate, you are gaining an edge. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about: gaining an
Oh
edge
yes.
over your competition.
Definitely, definitely. So you started talking about advertising. So what would be the challenge that vendors face there?
Well, advertising. I don't want to go too deep, but because there are specialists on the advertising topic, and there are tools that automate a lot. I mean,
Hmm.
it's a whole industry, right? But
Yeah.
just one example: Amazon does not provide you the data on a daily basis for more than 65 days. Like, if you want to know what your campaign had as results from 1 year ago, you just don't have the data, right? Like, this is crazy. So you have to download this manually or put it together manually. And I mean, come on, like, who's supposed to do that and manage that? So this is a tough one also.
So
And
there is
this is
no
something.
way to sorry. So there is no way that you just go simply to Amazon to your vendor. What's the name of the your command center for vendors? It's
Vendor Central.
Vendor Central. Exactly. You go there and you just can't simply check the report from last I don't know 365 days, right? One
No,
year
you
to
can't.
check the performance of your ads. This
No,
is
you can't.
crazy.
But that this is limited to advertising, and this is also an issue that sellers face, because when it comes to advertising, vendors and sellers use the same UI. Like, it's the advertising console. They both use the same, and they are both facing this issue that you cannot access this data on a day level anymore. You can see the overall performance of the whole account or a portfolio, but you cannot dig in, you cannot deep dive. And what was my spend on a certain ASIN 1 year ago? Like, what was the performance of that? You need a tool to do so. Like, you have to have something that gets the data from Amazon, ideally in automated, and then store
Hmm.
it somewhere. And
Yes.
basically, this leads me to the next one, and this is all of the sales data. This is available for a couple of years. This is different to the advertising data, but like, they don't even show a diagram. Like, there is no visualization of or whatsoever of your sales data, of your sales performance of certain items. Like, I think this is a real pain because Amazon is focused on data providing and not at all trying to provide insights for vendors.
Hmm.
Um, and I think this needs to change, and or at least we thought this needs to change. And this is also one of the reasons why we are working together, because this is where our BI tool comes into play.
Oh
This is
yes, yes.
what we've built with you and your team, is the BI tool that helps us integrate advertising data as well as sales data from vendor central and seller central, so it's both possible, and then we can store it in one database and visualize all of this, and we can drill down on ASIN level. And this is something that you really need. Like, I mean,
And you can't
my
do it with Amazon at all, right?
you can't. No, you can't. You just can't. And if you
Hmm.
really want to understand the performance of your products, at least this is my belief, you need to really dig into retail is detail, is what my old boss always said. He was thinking of offline retail, but I'm the kind of guy, I would also apply it to online retail. Like, you have to know the performance of your products, and if you
Yes.
don't have the data and you can't easily work with it, how the hell do you want to know what
I
the
mean,
performance is?
especially nowadays. I mean, they say data is the new oil, and you have to make decisions to your business based on the data. So without it, you're like blind. You can't do anything. Especially if Amazon is providing you with the data only for like two months, it's nothing. You really need to have the overview of last years of the products that you sell. So that's really a huge pain point, I would say, and it's extremely weird also from Amazon's point of view. Like, why wouldn't they provide vendors and sellers with such information?
Yeah, it would help them sell more, definitely. That's why I
Hmm.
also don't understand it. But hey, that's why we worked on this solution,
Oh yes,
and it helps us grow our business like very
I'm
easily. I
I'm really
saved a lot
happy.
of time. Yeah,
That's great. I mean, we'll definitely show the tool to the
yeah,
audience as soon as we just launch it to the public. But just wanted to ask you about about the tool and analytic itself, because even the Amazon gives you some basic information. Also, let's jump a little bit to the solutions out there, which are just out there. I know that there are just additional tools which provides you with some basic dashboards, but still I feel like every business is a little bit different, and you need to know what to display on those dashboards, right? It's also a thing that having a data is one thing, but then doing specific operations with the data is another thing. So I'm really happy that right now, since you have the tool, you can show vendors data that really matters in a specific format.
yeah, exactly. That was the idea. Since we are managing a lot of accounts, we cannot spend too much time on every single account in order to quickly understand what is going on in the business. That's why we have this tilt, this dashboard, which gives you like a quick insight like this, and you understand what your business is driving and where it's going. So this is definitely a benefit to it.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I, I,
and
I, I, I re- Sorry, go on.
yeah, yeah. As you said, we will show it. I don't think it will take us too long to be able to talk about it and show it to the audience.
Hmm. No, that's for sure. I remember I built on one of the webinars. I remember it was with some Amazon agency, and I was showing them the possibilities that you can do with the API that you could never do with just Amazon dashboard. This is also like it will be possible with our tool. I created a simple function that was showing comparison of ASINs across different marketplaces, right? So
Mhm.
usually when you have account, you have to switch in between different marketplaces to see the data. And here it's simply aggregated and visualized on one dashboard. So I feel like this will be also a game changer.
Yeah, definitely. Like as I said before, you can aggregate on a level that you are not used to, that you don't, you never had before.
Hmm.
But before we dive too much or too deep into the tool, I think we'll have a separate episode on this. Um,
Definitely.
I wanted to maybe move on to the parts where Amazon does not allow automation and
Oh
where
yes,
they
this will be
really
definitely
don't want
interested one.
automation. Like, and this is basically um, something that has to do with payments. So, what you need to know about working with Amazon as a vendor is that they don't just pay you your invoices like you would be used to. If you send someone an invoice, they would pay it. What they do is they'll get your invoice and then they start deducting from those invoices what they think you owe them or what they think what was missing in products or where prices were not right. They just deduct it. And then
Hmm.
you have to check this yourself and then you have to prove them that they were wrong. So you
Hmm.
might end up like having an example because this might be hard to grasp. So there are different types of deductions from your payment. Like usually you would differentiate between the main things. Um, they have like these bonuses on your sales. Usually, when you have negotiations with Amazon, there you end up having like 5% marketing bonus, and you have 5% return allowance and damage allowance and stuff like that, and quick payment discount. What you probably know from working with other vendors. So you don't pay them; they just deduct it from your payments on a monthly basis. Then all of the returns they send you, they also deduct it from your payments. And also when they think you have a different price on a certain item, they will deduct it. And two more things are the most common issues that vendors run into. Like Amazon says they did not receive the amount of product that you sent. That is what they call shortage claims. Like this is a big issue. Like
Oh
every
yeah.
vendor has it. And what they do is like, yeah, we have received 32 of your items, but you as a vendor, we shipped 36. And they will deduct those four from the payment. And then you have to prove them that it's the other way around.
So you really have to record kind of everything you do
Yes.
before you even send it to them, right? So you just prove them that hey, there's actually a whole box of the items.
Yeah, and this is hard. Like this is really, really hard. Then they want a proof of delivery from the fulfillment center and stuff like that. And
Yeah,
now
I just
imagine,
wonder what could be the reason. Is it because some of the employees of Amazon just did a bad job, or what do you think?
I usually it's a mix of different reasons, and the more of those reasons you have or issues you have in your supply chain, the more of these shortage claims you will run into. But usually it's issues with labeling, like the labels of your products, the
Yeah.
labeling of your pallets. This might be an issue, or sometimes it's simply just the process of the receiving process in the fulfillment center. Now imagine there are truckloads of products coming into the warehouse, and they are just putting it into the floor, and then there's a shift change, and this shift change happens where one of the workers has started like receiving and booking your shipment into the system, and he stops in the middle of it, and then the next shift begins. Then he will probably receive this on a different PO, on a different item and a different order, and then you have an issue. And this is something that happens a lot because the size of those fulfillment centers, there are working so many people in there. So this is a reality that you run into a lot. and
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 how do you fight with it? Like, what do you do?
yeah, well, this is the interesting part. Um, Now you have to go to Vendor Central, and then you have to go to the payment. And then you have to look into the payment process of a certain amount, and then you have to look into every single line item what they have deducted from your invoice, and then you have to go on every single item line, and then you have to dispute it on a
Hmm.
singular level. Like every single deduction, you have to dispute it, and this is where you are really investing a lot of manual effort.
So,
And
how much time, if you could just tell the audience, how much time on average you could
I
spend on those things for your
usually,
clients?
usually, if you have all of the documentation already, which you usually don't have, if you have the documentation, it's 2 to 3 minutes per dispute.
Hmm.
So, and that does not include asking your logistics provider for the proof of delivery and all of that stuff. So
Hmm. And
this
how
is
many
eating
disputes
up a
is
lot
it?
of
Like you
time.
said, 2 to 3 minutes per one, but how many are we talking about?
This depends on the volume that you ship to Amazon, but we we have been working on this one example where we're facing thousands of disputes. Like
That's crazy.
um, when we were working on this project, where we had to dispute thousands of items for a client of us, which we had to automate. Like this was
Oh
not
yeah.
possible to handle manually. Like imagine more than 6,000 disputes times 2 to 3 minutes. Like first of all, that poor person that has to do it, and then second of all, imagine the time that it takes. So
Yes, and for this, the saddest part is that you just can't really do it. I mean, you just can't do it through API. Amazon doesn't give you the interface to deal with it, right? So you
exactly.
kind of have to do it manually, or you just started saying about it. You can create some automation. It's not a regular automation. It's a little bit different. But yeah, I'm just curious if you could tell about more.
Yeah, sure. Like as I said before, there are parts where Amazon wants automation. There are parts where they don't want automation because they would not benefit from it. So they have some kind of interest to make it harder for you to dispute items. Therefore, there is no API interface to dispute any of these payment deductions. So, what you have to come up with as a vendor, and this is what I highly recommend vendors that have regularly issues with this, is to automate these kind of disputes because they can be automated and they should be automated because you end up investing so much time in that, and the reality is that it's on a such detailed level that most of the vendors they just give up. Yeah, they say like I can't handle it manually. So they are giving away thousands and thousands of dollars. Like we were working with vendors. They were giving away six figures of chargebacks and shortage claims and price claims because they could not handle the volume of this disputes. So they were just like, okay, man, I give up. I give up. And that's why Amazon, in many cases, has such a bad reputation. Because I mean, if you look at it, and if you see the interface, you can tell they don't want you to. Like really, they don't want you to dispute it. So it seems like it's a system like where they make money of it. So
Hmm.
this is one of the crucial parts where you should start to automate, and where you and your company provide like great solutions to solve this.
Oh yes, and just to hear like explain how such automation could work is because if it's not in the API and already people don't have idea what's API, then how would they ever know that you can do much more than just API gives you? So just to understand here, like I have since I started programming, I actually started creating some bots, automation scripts, and so on. That was kind of my niche. This is where I started, and I had like a one rule of thumb: if you can see something on a website and you can click through it, you can just automate it. Like it's doable, especially with the current AI. I don't want to even think about what are the possibilities with the current chat GPT and other AI tools. I don't want to even go to this. Now I'll just focus and talk about the processes which are repetitive, right? So as in this case, when you have to dispute the item, you have to go and fill this form, which is like just a few steps, right? You just have to click through it, give the reason, select a data, and submit it. And when we have such a case, what you can do is, I mean, in this case, our company, what did is we created the Selenium bot. Selenium is basically the emulator of the website. So it's the special, I would say, software which just opens the automated, um, like a browser controlled by the script that you write, and then you just go simply step by step, and through the code, um, paste the data to the form and just click yes, right? So definitely it's not the easiest task to do. I know that there are some tools that you can kind of automated it, but it still requires you to know how to code. So I feel like, those automations, which are not that obvious, which are definitely not available through the API, those are the actual game changers for Amazon. Also, you have to be smart enough to find out that, hey, this actually could be automated. And just to let you know again, because of the ChatGPT era, I feel like more and more things could be automated this way.
Yeah, I think so too. I think you said two very important things. First of all, as long as you can click it, you can automate it. Like this is a fact. Like keep that in mind. Like this is a message to all of the vendors and even sellers out there. If you click it, you can automate it. And what you really have to know about the issues that vendors are facing regarding the deduction of payments from payments is that then in order to book it for their bookkeeping, they have to manually download the debit note in order to have their bookkeeping be compliant with the law. So some of the vendors end up downloading hundreds and hundreds of PDF files in order to store them and then provide it to their bookkeeping. And then the bookkeeping, they have to open them manually and check
Oh,
what the payment was. I mean, like, please, if you work
this is
on
crazy.
something like this, talk to us, about the use cases we have, talk to Jacob about what can be automated, because he's definitely right about you can automate it and you should, because these are game changers, and you make a lot of friends in your company if you start automating this. Trust me, like, trust me.
Definitely, definitely. No, that's really great. I'm pretty sure we'll talk about more use cases, similar to this, and in next episodes. For this one, Phil, do you have any final words to the audience?
Oh, now you put me on the spot. Like, I think I was closing up really good on, on my last comment, but again, like, please keep in mind, you can automate all of this stuff, and especially there are parts where Amazon does not want you to automate, and therefore you have to work with tools and people like Jacob and his team in order to get a grasp on the business. Don't waste the money that Amazon owes you. They owe you, usually they owe you a lot, and you can get it back and you can prove it. So therefore, uh, do yourself a favor and automate this stuff.
100%. Thanks a lot, Phil. And yeah, guys, if you ever are curious about becoming the vendor, then reach out to Phil. All of his social media links and also his company link will be in the description. And yeah, I would say thanks a lot for watching, and we see you in the next one.
Take care. Bye bye.